Time Magazine named Michelle Yeoh Icon of the Year.
Good morning, beloveds. Today is December 16th, and I'm contemplating turning my AC back on. Yeah, okay, but it is December 6th. It is a Tuesday this year. Our title is Handling Unwanted Moods. And the first quote is, "They should seek the Lord and find it, though it be not far from every one of us." Acts 17:27. The second quote is, "There is no confusion in the approach to reality. It should be calm and dispassionate, but filled with feeling and emotion, because feeling and emotion are creative." And that is The Science of Mind, page 283. Whenever you experience a period of moodiness that leaves you feeling unhappy, disturbed, and critical, get up from where you are sitting or stop what you are doing and deliberately seat yourself in a comfortable chair. Say to yourself, "I am doing this so I can spend a quiet period with God." If your thinkings drift back to a particular situation or condition, do not be disturbed. Just recenter your thinking on God. If your concept of God is vague and abstract and you need a model, start thinking about Jesus. The New Testament story of Jesus presents an excellent example of what God is as a human being and what a person may become if that person keeps themselves open to the influx of the divine. Thoughts focused on God lift your thinking to higher levels of consciousness and open the doors of awareness so that the Christ consciousness may enter. Fellowship with the divine is one's own consciousness fellowship with the divine in one's own consciousness banishes all negative moods, weariness, loneliness, fear, guilt, self-criticism, and anxiousness, and permits peace, love, and joy to circulate throughout one's whole being, spirit, soul, and body. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any person hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to them and will sup with them and they with me. I center my attention on God, the source of all good. I remain calm and allow the divine currents of love and peace to circulate through me. The dark clouds of negation appear and I bask in the white light of divine love. And that is WK. That is Wayne Kintner. And honestly, it's really good advice. It's really good advice. If you find yourself, grumpy, or agitated or whatever, and he's suggesting sitting in a comfortable chair, and that may work. That absolutely may work. Go sit in a comfortable chair and center your thoughts on, he says God, and if that doesn't work for you, then if it's vague and abstract, then to focus on Jesus. And I like what he said is because Jesus is an excellent example of what God would be as a human being, which we'll deal with that in just a minute. But there are other teachers. If Jesus doesn't do it for you, then you have Buddha. Buddha doesn't do it for you. There are a multitude of examples across the world. The Dalai Lama would be another one. His name just popped right out of my head. Reverend Tutu, Bishop Tutu, one of the Dalai Lama's best friends. He's another really good example. So you've got all of these really great examples that you can sit and focus on if your idea of God is abstract. Here's the and. If you sit in a comfy chair and focus on that, what you're doing is meditation. What you could end up doing is a napitation, which might be all to the good. Napitation is from Reverend Marsha. where you start out meditating and end up taking a nap. So that's a good thing. If you are kind of like me, fidgety, sitting in a comfortable chair might not do it for me unless I do need a nap. You can do the same thing, but go for a walk. So you have options there. But the idea is to change what you are doing. And it's not a distraction. You are not distracting yourself from your mood. What you're doing is consciously choosing another mood. All right. So you are consciously, choosing to focus on good. Another way to do that, if focusing on God or, a human with, activating the Christ with an active Christ consciousness, it doesn't do it for you, then gratitude. You could consider writing in your gratitude journal or just sitting there and listing the things that you're being grateful for. That would be because what you are doing is constantly choosing another perspective. And it's one of the best ways. If you find yourself grumpy, you go do something else that will work you out of that grumpy mood. All right. I'm not a morning person. I can wake up absolutely grumpy. And that's one of the reasons why I do get up and go for a walk, get up and go exercise to work the grumpiness out. I'm not a morning person. You might be shocked to hear that, but I'm not. And so that's what you do. You go do something. And in his mind, what he is suggesting is to focus on the Christ consciousness, to invite more of it in. The purpose of meditation can absolutely be that. The purpose of meditation is to listen. And in that listening, we are inviting in that God consciousness, that Christ consciousness. I can't think of gratitude being the only other thing. I can't think of a better way to do it. To sit in a comfortable chair and focus on the Christ consciousness, or go for a walk and focus on the Christ consciousness. Whichever works for you. I'm a fidgety person. The walk's going to do me more good than sitting still. And as soon as you recognize the grumpy mood, I saw the meme and I'm going to go get it off my phone and repost it because it talks about the Pollyanna. It's like Pollyanna is not naive. Pollyanna is consciously choosing that perspective to get her to the kind of life she wants to live. She's a badass. And I'm just like, yes, which I'm there for. I get the Pollyanna. It's like, yes, I choose to look on the brighter side. And when I don't choose to look on the brighter side, then I check myself and focus on something that will help me to see the brighter side. Am I 100%, rainbows and sunshine? Absolutely not. But I make an effort to be more rainbows and sunshine than anything else. And I like to think that I'm mostly successful. Because I'm choosing it. I'm choosing my attitude. I'm choosing my moods. There's the German word is Morgenmuffel, and it's people who don't enjoy mornings. I'm a Morgenmuffel. Don't enjoy mornings. And yet I get up and structure my morning in such a way that you would never know. I get up and do something that engages my mind and my body, gets that blood flowing, gets that Christ consciousness awake and up and going so that I can focus on my day. So, and then I can be grumpy about the fact that it's 76 degrees, in December. But I can combat that. I can either, if it's cooler outside, which I'm not sure it is, I can open windows. It's what it is humid. But I also have the choice to turn away AC. So I'm grateful for AC. So that is practical advice for dealing with unwanted moods. Let me see if there was, I was going to go back to, there was something I was going to touch back on about Jesus. And I don't remember what it was. Oh, well. Okay. I say to yourself, I am doing this so I can spend a quiet period with God. If your thinking drifts back to a particular situation or condition, be not disturbed, just recenter your thinking. Every good meditation will tell you that. When the breath meditation where you're focused on your breath and inevitably you get distracted, then you go back to thinking about your breath. Okay, recenter. It's like as you drift off, come back. Nope. This is my moment. I am spending with God. One of the things that I did do in one of my meditations is I built a place to go in my mind to spend time with God. And I built a place that I want to go to. Try that. If your concept of God is vague and abstract and you need a model, start thinking about Jesus. The New Testament story of Jesus presents an excellent example of what God is as a human being and what a person may become if that person keeps themselves open to the influx of the divine. Okay, so I think that, and maybe what I wanted to touch back on is the idea of God as Jesus, the idea of God, of Jesus as an example. All right. Every one of us is a divine spark. Every one of us carries that God within us. We are God in motion. Jesus is an excellent example of somebody who accepted their divinity. All right. And said, I mean, they quote Jesus all the time. God and I are one. You know, now he calls God the Father. So he says the Father and I are one. That is, and what he came to do is teach all of us to do that. All right. And so that's why William Kintner is talking about how, he's an example of God as a human being. He is an example that each and every one of us can live up to because Jesus says, all of these things that I am teaching you, you will do and more. So that's where Mr. Kintner is coming from in this idea. It's like Jesus taught us how to do this. It's time to practice what he preached. It's time to practice what we preach. He's an excellent example, and that's the way we want to look at Jesus. We don't want to call him the divine exception, because exceptions are hard to live up to. He is the divine example. He came to teach us that this is what we ourselves can do. And William Kintner is saying, well, hell, you can do this to get rid of an unwanted mood. So, thoughts focused on God lift your thinking to higher levels of consciousness and open the doors of awareness so the Christ consciousness may enter. I fully believe that we come pre-installed with that Christ consciousness. And the password to that software is love. So when we center our thoughts on God, that's what we're doing. We're activating that Christ consciousness that we have already within us. All right. So your mission today, should you choose to accept it, if you happen to be a Morgan Muffle, or just any time of the day, when you notice that your mood's a little, spend a moment with God. And that can look like meditation. It can look like a short treatment. It can look like a prayer. It can look like a nap. That's the mission should we choose to accept it. And honestly, it looks a lot like the spiritual practice that I recommend every day. Do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself. It can absolutely look like going and sitting in a comfortable chair and centering your thoughts on God, or centering your thoughts on Jesus, or centering your thoughts on any of the other examples that I gave and the myriad of other examples that are out there. When there was that period of time when the what would Jesus do bracelets were really popular, and one day in the Sunday school we made them, and one of the kids looked at me and said, mine is what would Jesse do? And he gave the bracelet to Jesse, and Jesse was like, no, tie that sucker on. And Jesse was proud to wear it. And I don't want to say flattered, because that's not the right word. He was humbled that the child said, what would Jesse do? That he put Jesse on that same level of what would Jesus do. He believed that Jesse walked that Christ consciousness enough that he was willing to follow what Jesse would do. So, you've got those teachers in your life. What would they do? That's what you can sit and think about. it also helps when you think about kind people. It changes your mood. And that's the point. That's the point of today. Absolutely. Today is all about, the mission today is that loving, kind, and compassionate thing for yourself. And it's loving, kind, and compassionate for other people. Because when you're grumpy, I mean, I know when I'm grumpy, I'm not a whole lot of fun for me to be around, much less anybody else. So it behooves for me to change that mood. Now, these little fur babies can go a long way to helping with that too. So, when you're being loving, kind, and compassionate, sometimes snuggling with your fur baby can do it. Or, if your fur baby isn't, furry, scaly, I'm down for any loving relationship there. So there was that, the mission for today, and then the loving, kind, and compassionate. And I do argue to test on yourself. You are your best test subject. And because you deserve your own love, you deserve your own kindness, you deserve your own compassion. What I am encouraging, and Mr. Kintner is encouraging, is to create a habit. To create that go-to thing that you can do. So no matter what happens, you can respond lovingly, kindly, and compassionately. Build the habit. Okay. I'm all discombobulated right now. Okay, so I'm going to move on to do something to engage your mind and your body. Whatever that looks like today. That is what helps me with my Morgan muffle, is to go for that walk or bike ride or whatever it is that I do in the morning. I do encourage you to drink plenty of water. Hydration is super important, especially when your nose is trying to run. Yeah. You're going to go take that quercetin. And then I do encourage you also to get that early in your day bright light. If we want to talk about unwanted moods, there are a whole lot of hormones that are very involved in your moods, and bright light early in your day can help to reset that circadian rhythm and help bring those hormones into balance. It is a natural thing that you can do, bright light early in your day. And I say that because I say early in your day. If you get up before the sun does, artificial light counts. It helps to reset those hormones so that you can have a good day. It's called a circadian rhythm. It is science. Please look it up. Okay. And then, as always, in the words of Ernest Holmes, and that is what William Wayne Kintner is asking you to do. Open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you do live in heaven right here, right now. When you go sit in that comfortable chair and you center your thoughts on God, you are opening the windows of your soul. Absolutely. You are allowing that breath of heaven to blow through your soul, to blow through the center of your being, to remind you who you are. And as one of our practitioners says, Sandy, whose you are. To remind you that you were built by God, of God, for God. That we are absolutely divine channels for that love into the material realm. That is who we are. So, and as I have said and alluded and just outright said, we can always take Emma's advice. Look for the good and praise it. That's what a gratitude journal is. It is us deliberately looking for the good. And it's one of the fastest ways to change an unwanted mood is to look for the good, to name it out loud or in print. Either way. Okay. I'm going to move into the process of my day. So here is where I remind you the social media. We are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. I am the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. I will remind you, if you want to know what's going on with the center specifically, email info@creativelife.org. That will get you on the constant contact. That will get you the email that has all of the hot links. And the hot links are hot. They will either take you to the information that you want or the person that will get you the information that you want. All right. So please do that. And now I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonder-filled day, a changing your mood day, spending time with God day, a big comfy chair day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day because you are enough just as you are. As I have said before and will continue to say, you are a bright light. You are a brilliant spirit. You are a divine spark. You are a godling. You are a beloved child of God. You are spirit in motion. You are God in action. You are a representation of the God that you believe in. As Jesse has said more than once, you are a beloved child of God in whom God is well pleased, but you are a beloved child of God in whom God is well represented. Okay? Know who you are. Know who you are. That's why I say it every day. I want you to know who you are. I want to know who I am. I want you to know who you are. Okay? And the only person who can tell you who you are is you. Everybody else can point the direction, but it's up to you to figure out who you are. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm done. So here's where I get to remind you that Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I will be back with you around 9 a.m. Tomorrow. And to remind you, I'm just discombobulated. Reverend David will be on around 5 p.m. with you. I will be back with you at 9 a.m. Take care of yourself and know that you are loved. Always.